Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Beyond Serial, and this is going to be a video letting you guys know what you need to know to get started in the ArmA 2 mod, DayZ. Now, DayZ is an exciting but brutal, balls on the walls, hard FPS survival game. You and all the other players are the few lucky survivors left and must now learn how to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. You have to search for food, water, fight for your life against the environment, against zombies, and maybe even against other players. But with over 300,000 unique players playing this game, and each character only has an average survival time of 31 minutes, this game is nowhere even near easy. But anyway, DayZ is set in Chernarus, which is a 225 square kilometer huge map. This big world is full of towns, cities, forests, barns, farms, whatever you name it, it's in this game. Now you have to go around finding your supplies, either go search a farm, a city, whatever, find the supplies you need to prolong your survivability. Now this is a zombie game, and the world is a huge consistent world. That means if you do find supplies, you can take the supplies, store them in your little inventory you have, maybe find a base or a safe spot, maybe a house you like, put it all right in that house, and if you're on a good server which only like restarts every once a month, then you have a house full of stuff that you can use. For example, if you go to a hospital, fill up your bags with all kinds of medical supplies, blood, morphine, whatever you can use, bring it back into your house, place it there, and you can defend your house against zombies, against other players, use it as like a bank. But most servers, they do have a 24-hour restart time, meaning that the consistent world gets reset after every 24 hours. So all this stuff that's on the ground, it despawns. Stuff in your bag and where your character is, that stays, but the stuff on the ground, that usually gets despawned. Now the loot and all these zombies, they do spawn random on the map, which means if you find, let's say, an AK-47 in one house, you come back an hour later, you might find a different weapon, or maybe no weapon at all. So all the loot and the zombies, they do spawn random. But if you do make a bunch of noise, usually kind of close to you, zombies will spawn and start flooding in, giving you this real feel that there's everywhere zombies. You make one mistake, you'll be flooded with zombies. Or even other players. There are a bunch of players that you can either play with to help survive, or you can play against other players, actually kill them and loot them, which you do have to pay attention to. Because if you do start shooting around, a bunch of zombies come, you try to kill off all the zombies, and a player hears that, maybe they'll come secretly, watch you kill off the zombies, and once you're done, they'll shoot you down, loot your stuff, kill your body, and then you have to start from scratch again, which is one of the reasons why this game is so hard. Now for ArmA 2 players or ArmA 2 veterans, this game, it does have a kind of a high learning curve, but it's easily manageable. Yet for people who are just buying ArmA 2 to play DayZ, this game doesn't have a high learning curve, it has a learning cliff. For non-ArmA 2 players, this game is so hard. Just trying to get into the game, getting used to the feel, it's so stressful and difficult at the beginning, but if you do have the patience and the perseverance to get through the initial learning phase, this game is so enjoyable, so satisfying. Now there are all kinds of different PvE aspects, where not just zombies as a PvE enemy, but you also have the environment, which is thirst, hunger, the temperature, stuff like that. You do have to go around finding water, finding food, otherwise you'll die, you'll be dehydrated and you'll die from hunger. You'll start losing your blood, and if you lose blood in this game is pretty much your life. If you start losing your blood, you lose life, you lose more and more life. If you're like down to a certain amount of life, your screen starts to go gray and it starts to go blurry, and it's even harder and harder to survive. Now there are ways and means of filling your blood back up and being healed, but you do need a second player for it, or just need to find a whole lot of food and eat a lot of food. But I'll get onto that later. Now I did say earlier, when you die, you lose everything, and I do mean everything. You have to start from scratch. You have one bandage, a flashlight, and I think a pack of painkillers, but I'll show you that later. Now, starting from scratch is tough, because if you make one mistake and have a couple zombies on you, you have nothing to fend off the zombies, which means you pretty much died. You have to run for your life, try to hide, try to get the zombies to stop following you, and if you aren't able to get the zombies to stop following you, then you're lucky. Later on, if you have a weapon like an axe or a gun, it's usually easier to kill off 1 or 2 zombies that are following you. But if you have like a loud gun, you shoot a zombie, 10 more are gonna come. So you really have to pay attention and be careful in this game. But before we get on to the gameplay, and I'm going to show you guys like the simple controls and stuff you need to know, I'm going to first tell you what you need to play the game at all. Now you do have to buy ArmA 2 the game and ArmA 2 Operations Arrowhead, which is an expansion pack. With these 2 games, with ArmA 2 and the expansion pack, you're able to play the mod DayZ. Now the mod itself is free, but the game and the expansion pack are not. Like the game I think costs €10 and the expansion pack 15, but you can buy them either separate or together in this like bundle or this pack called Combined Forces. Now this Combined Forces is usually cheaper. I think it only costs like €20, and you can buy it on Steam, Gamersgate, stuff like that, or on the website ArmA 2 itself. But I'll post that in a link in the description below. Now, what you also need to download is the auto updater. It is so much easier to download the 6 updater because it automatically updates the game itself. Whenever new files come out, it automatically updates it, and you don't have to mess around with some stupid game files, know which ones to delete, which ones to download. And you can find that on the DayZmod.com website. I'm going to post the link in the description below. Now, let's get into the game. I'm going to start a new character right here. Okay, so here you can see this is a new character. He spawned near a city called Electro or Electrodas, but everyone just calls it Electro. Now if I open up my bags, you can see you start out with a painkiller, you start out with a bandage and a flashlight. That's all you have in a backpack, which is empty. That is all you have. But I'm going to start off talking about the controls. Like if you look up to the right, to the top right, there's this gray box called the debug monitor. Here you can see simple stats that your character has. For example, zombies killed. I haven't killed any yet because it's a new character, so 0. The headshots, how many zombies have you killed with the headshots? Then murders, how many people have you killed, how many other players? And then bandits killed. Now to become a bandit, you have to kill a certain amount of other players, and then you become a bandit. And bandit is someone who just does a lot of PvP. So bandits killed is usually a good thing. Now under that you can see blood. At the moment I have 12,000 blood, which means 12 liters of blood in my body, which that's the max you can have. That's what you start out with. And if you go down, start losing blood, I think around 4 liters, your screen starts to go gray, or only black and white, and everything starts to get really fuzzy, and it's hard to see. But if you do have another player who gives you this blood transfusion, is what it's called, it fills up your blood again, up to 12 liters. Now below that, you can see zombies. You can see how many are alive at the moment, and how much are totally on the server. Now at the moment, there are 224 zombies alive, and 239 zombies can be in total on the map. Now below that there is the temperature. It says 36 degrees Celsius. Now temperature is still a bit buggy in the game. It hasn't quite been implemented, but it will soon be implemented, so that when it like rains, for example, you might get colder and colder and have to wear something warm like different clothes or whatever. But they're still going to implement that. And below that you can see your character's name. Now on my screen behind the debug monitor you can see this ear. Now this ear lets you know how well zombies and other players can actually hear you. For example, if I run, there's a bar by the ear. Since I'm on the grass, it's not that loud. But if I go up here to the train tracks, you can see right away I have 3 bars. That's a lot louder. Ooh, I hope I don't kite a zombie by accident. But you can see it's a lot louder. Now below there's an eye, and you can see if you're standing up, you can see how well other zombies can see you. Oh crap, I kited a zombie. Okay, so I just relogged because I got a zombie started to attack me. Now you can relog and then come back into the game, then all the zombies that are despawned that are close by you. That's kind of a dick move or a douchey move, because you can also do it in PvP, and that's kind of retarded because that pretty much takes away from the whole feeling of the game. That's why I usually don't do it, but I just did it now so that I can continue talking and telling you guys what you need to know. Now I showed you about the ear. Now if we like crouch down and I start running, it's a lot quieter, especially on the grass. They can barely hear me. Now if I go onto this train tracks, I only have 2 bars, but if I run, I have 3 bars. But then I can also crawl or prone. Then I don't have, oh no, I have 1 bar if I crawl. But below it you can see the eye, so how well zombies and other players can see you. At the moment they can barely see me. I have no bars there, which means they can pretty much barely see me. I have to get right next to a zombie so it can see me. Now if I crouch and try to run like this, now I got about 2 bars, which means they can see me a lot more. But if I start to like slow crawl, since I'm still exactly the same height, they can see me just as well, but they cannot hear me as much because I'm not actually running. Now I can also walk. Walking is pretty quiet, but they can see you really well. Sprinting, they can actually hear you and see you too much. That's why I usually don't sprint. You either crouch, or you crawl, or you slow crouch. That's usually all you do. Now, below that, down in the bottom right, here you can see there's this temperature thing. It looks like this science tube or science glass, whatever. And it's kind of orangish now. That's because my temperature's at 36 degrees, but it hasn't quite been implemented yet, so that's not something we have to worry about. Below that, you can see like this bottle or canteen. It's completely green, which means I'm not thirsty at all. But it will slowly change to this yellowish color, this orangish color, and then it'll go red. And once it's red, you need to find something to drink and drink it. Once it starts flashing, you're starting to get critical, and you might start to lose blood eventually. Now, losing blood will kill you, since blood is pretty much your life. Now, below the canteen there, you can see there's this drop. That's your blood. That's how much blood you have. 12,000 is the max, so it's going to stay green. If I'm only like at 1,000 or 1 liter of blood, it's going to be red. It's probably going to be flashing and everything, and I need a blood transfusion fast. Now, you can start to bleed. Like, for example, if a zombie hits you, you will start bleeding. And then there's going to be this white plus flashing on the blood drop, which means you have to use a bandage, bandage yourself up so you stop bleeding, and then probably get a blood transfusion. Anyway, so below that, you can see there's like this tray with a fork and knife. That's how hungry you are. You can find food. I thought you could find water and Pepsi and Coke easier than food. I haven't found that much food in the game yet, but it was always enough to survive. Now, I'm going to talk about the controls real quick. The basic movement controls. For example, WASD to move, that's really simple. Left mouse click to shoot, that's also normal. But then you start to get into the weirder controls from the ArmA 2 game itself. For example, right mouse click, if you hold it, you kind of zoom in and like look down. Okay, so I just accidentally pulled another zombie, which is why I logged out so that I can continue talking. Anyway, so about the controls, if you hold the right mouse button, you zoom in and it lets you see farther. For example, if you have a gun and you double click it, it lets you zoom down your scope or your sight, which allows you then to see farther and to actually aim correctly. Now, I'm gonna go searching through this house. Hopefully, I'll find something. Didn't really find anything useful. Just this can over here looks like something to drink and maybe some ammunition. Now, since I'm kind of facing it, you can see there's that gun with the swap symbol. That's how you loot. You go over it, and then you can either hit G or your middle mouse button. Now, I'm going to hit G real quick and show you how this works. If you hit G, this opens up. Now, the numbers on the right over here, those show you what you have in your immediate inventory. The stuff on your left is the stuff that you do not have in your immediate inventory. This can either be on the ground, or if you put something, for example, in your bag, it could be stuff in your bag. Now, as you can see, if I go over this magazine, down here shines. If I go over the can of sardines, up here it shines, and it says grayed out. That's because the inventory systems is kind of different. For example, down here, by the pistol, only pistol ammunition and bandages come here. Up top, everything else can go. That means your main weapon ammo, medical stuff, food, water, whatever. But you can also click on your bag, then down here on open bag, and your bag inventory opens up, and anything can go in your bag, anything you want. For example, let's put a can of sardines in the bag, close bag. Now all you can see is the mag that's on the ground. Now if I move the mag over, it's going to come down here, and now there's nothing left on the ground. If I hit G, I close my bag, close my inventory. Now if I hit G again and click on my bag and click open bag, I don't get the same visual up here because I still need to have my actual inventory open. Because if I, for example, now click here on bandage and click like this, then it's in my bag. Yet if I click on the can of sardines and move it into my immediate inventory, it's now in my immediate inventory, not my bag anymore. So I hope that was simple enough. That's something you do have to get used to. Like, the looting is kind of weird in this game, but once you play a bit around, it's not bad. You get used to it alright. Okay, I'm going to relog real quick because I pulled another zombie. Okay, so I just relogged again because I pulled another zombie. And that shows you just how easily you can pull zombies. I did not do anything loud at all, and I just pulled the zombie because it was close by. But this is a perfect opportunity. The zombie did hit me before I logged out, which if you look now down to the bottom right, you can see by the blood drop, there's this white plus flashing. That means I'm bleeding, so I have to open up my bag, then right click on my bandage here, and bandage myself. Now it does this little animation, bandage myself, I stop bleeding, but if you look in the debug monitor up there by blood, I only have 11,000 and 10 blood left, which means 11 liters and 10 milliliters of blood left. So it's not that bad. I only lost 1 liter, but if you keep on doing that, keep on failing like this, I will actually start losing a lot of blood. Then I need a friend to come on and give me a blood transfusion. We have to find each other. One of us has to have this blood pack so we can give each other a blood transfusion. I'm raising up my blood again. Anyway, so if I talk about a couple more controls, for example, now I'm in the third person mode. If you click on enter on your numpad, it brings you either into the first person mode or into the third person mode. Now, the first person mode for ArmA 2 veterans is probably the way they'll be playing, but for new players, the third person mode is a lot easier to navigate your character. For example, if I go down to the first person mode and I move slowly, and I stop moving, it pulls me really far back because my guy, as you can see, he sits back down, which is kind of weird for new players. It was weird for me at the beginning. It was hard to get used to. I thought the third person, right now, the way you can see it in the third person view, is a whole lot easier to navigate around, which is still the way I play in the third person view. It also gives you way more sight over the game, but the actual feel in the game in the first person mode is so much more intense. That's why once I get used to the game enough, I probably will be playing in first person mode. Okay, so I'm going to open up the bag now since I think I'm pretty safe. I'm going to talk about one more thing. Down here, the tools. Now, I told you how up here was primary weapon ammo, food, water, everything else besides the bandages and pistol magazines. Pistol magazines and bandages come down here. But everything else, well, not everything else, but the tools that you could use, for example, flashlights, an axe to cut wood, a box of matches, stuff like that, that comes down here. Now, this does not belong to your precious ammo. Oh, once I have a zombie attacking me, but it doesn't look like he's bugging out a bit, which means he's not actually hitting me. I do have a couple more zombies coming down here. Oh, now he moved and he hit me. Anyway, so as you can see now, I let myself bleed out a bit so you guys can actually see what happens when you're starting to lose blood. I'm now down to 6 liters of blood, and most of the color is gone out of the game. The only color that's left is on the right side, the eye, the ear, the water, how thirsty and hungry you are. But my blood drop, it's still flashing and I'm still losing blood, which means if I don't find a bandage fast, I will die. But I'm going to let myself bleed out a bit more so you guys can actually see how it starts to get blurry and stuff like that. So I'm going to continue talking about basic controls. Now, the probably most important control in the entire game is your mouse wheel. If you, for example, go over a dead body or on a ladder or something, you move your mouse wheel, like up and down, scroll up and down, then it shows you all the options you have at the moment. Now that could be, for example, loot, climb up ladder, climb down ladder, whatever. One other thing you can do with your mouse wheel though is, for example, let's say you have a crossbow, you shoot someone with an arrow, but you can go pick up your arrow again. So you go with your guy, try to find your arrow. If you find it laying on the ground, you hover with your aim thing, with your crosshair over the arrow. Then there's on the side, you can either say pick up arrow, so you can either move your mouse wheel to find the pick up arrow, or you can click on your mouse wheel and it picks up your arrow automatically. Now you can also do this with loot. If you find, for example, like earlier, the can of sardines, if I would have aimed at the can of sardines and clicked my middle mouse button, it would have looted the can of sardines immediately, which is also an alright function, but I like the mouse wheel considering you can move it up and down. It shows you all of the functions you need, and using the crossbow, picking up the arrows are so much easier with the middle mouse button if you just click it. So I showed you guys now, I think, all the basics that you need for the game. Wow, I almost ran into a zombie because I wasn't able to see him. But I think I showed you guys all the basics. I only have 3 liters of blood left. Oh, wow, I got a zombie on me. Anyway, so I've stopped bleeding now. See if the zombie. No, zombie doesn't decide to follow me. Or is he? I can't see anything. Yeah, he's following me. So I'm almost dead. Now, there's one more thing I do have to tell you guys about. That's the day and night function. Now, this game, it does play in real time. It depends on where the server is. For example, if you're GMT +1 or -7 or wherever. If it's light out by you and you're on a server that has the same time frame as you have, then it's also light out. If it's dark out, it's dark out. Which means nighttime is usually extremely hard for new players. For example, if you don't have much, you need like chem lights, like these glow sticks. You need flares, whatever, to let you see in the night. There's also night vision goggles or thermal goggles, stuff like that. It helps you see at the night so that you actually can navigate around and you don't just see everything like, oh, I just collapsed, I'm now about to die, zombies are trying to eat me. Got 1 liter of blood left. See if I can run around. No, they knocked me back down. I got 300 milliliters of blood left. Now I'm dead. Now I'm going to show you guys the death function also in the game. So my name has been Beyond Serial, and I hope this video helped you guys just getting started in your DayZ career. Have fun, and I'll see you next time.